This is 3/8 homework assignment. In the textbook, we are clearing fractions to solve equations. So for number 1, part A, we're going to multiply each side of this equation by 5. So the whole thing gets multiplied by 5. So we're going to do 26 times 5, which is 130. We're going to be 5 times 2, which is 10. And we can try this in the calculator just to go over it. We're going to do 5 times 3/5. But once you get the hang of this, you'll see you don't actually need to punch this in the calculator. 5 times 3/5 is 3. The 5's cancel. It's like a 5 over 1. The 5's up top, the 5's on the bottom. That's 5 divided by 5. And that gives you 1. And so whatever is left over on the top just carries through. And so it's 3w. So once you get the hang of this, the whole reason we multiplied by 5 was to clear out the fraction. And we're left with just 3w. So we don't need the calculator at that point. So we're going to minus 10 now. This is part B. It says solve the equation. So 3w equals 120, and you're going to divide by 3, and w equals 40. And then part C said to check your answer, and we didn't have to do any checks in this section. So number 2, bunch of fractions here, different denominators. So for part A, we're going to multiply each side by 9 and then solve. So let's start. I'm going to rewrite it. So we're going to multiply this whole thing by 9 and rewrite it. So when I multiply this one that already has the denominator of 9, those cancel, leaving me just m. Now here, 9 divided by 3, it doesn't cancel to a 1. I actually get a number. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And that's going to carry through, and I'm going to get a 3m. Another way to think about it is this is a 1 on top, and you would do 9 times 1/3. And there's your 3. But I just think of it as division. Whatever this whole number is, it's like it's over 1. It gets divided by the denominator. 9 divided by 9 is 1, so you're just left with m. 9 divided by 3 is 3, so you have 3m. And then you can't forget to do the 9 times 16. That's what everybody forgets. That's 144. And they want you to solve it. So put these together, and that's 4m equals 144. So 144 divided by 4 gets you 36. And now part B, they want you to do it a little differently. So the number they chose here was the least common multiple. It's 9. 3 goes into 9, and 9 goes into 9. But we talked about another strategy is if you have different denominators, you can multiply them together, and the number that you get will also work. And that's what we're going to do here in part B. We're going to multiply each side of this equation by 27. So 9 times 3 is 27, so that's a number that'll work. So what happens is, again, you're dividing by the bottom. So 27 divided by 9 is 3, so I have 3m. 27 divided by 3 is 9, so I have 9m. And then 16 times 27, 432. Now I go to solve this. This is 12m when you combine it. Divide by 12. And what should happen is I should get the same answer. 432 divided by 12 is 36. And so part C, let's wrap this all up. What conclusions can be made from the work that we just did? Multiplying both sides of an equation doesn't change the answer. So you can choose any number you want. There's not one way to do it. This one by 9, this one by 27 both give you 36. We just want to make sure that you understand you don't have to come up with this magic number. Now there's numbers that we want to get to, multiples of the denominators, but there's not one set way to do it. Okay, number 4. So we're going to do all of this right here except the check. We're going to write the inequality that results when we're multiplying by the given number, and the given number is right here. So I have 3n over 2 minus n over 4 less than 6. I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 4. So letter A is to just do the multiplication. So when I have a denominator here, I'm going to divide. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Multiply that times the top. So I'm going to get 6n. If you want to see it, the fraction is 3 over 2 and you're timesing it by 4, and you get 6. So you can plug it in the calculator, but again, it'll be faster if you start dividing by the denominator and then take whatever's left and multiply times the top. Divide by the denominator, you get 1, and you're just left with n. And then don't forget, everybody forgets, to multiply the whole number on this side. All right, that's part A. Part B now is to go ahead and solve this. Put these together, that's 7n. Divide by 7. And n is less than 24 divided by 7. Not a nice decimal. And looks like in the, oh, this was an n, I'm sorry. 6n minus n. I did plus n. This is 6. Let's start over. So part B, 6n minus n is not 7, right? 6 minus 1. That's 5n is less than 24. So we're dividing by 5. Going a little too fast there. 24 divided by 5 is a nice number. So n is less than 4.8. Sorry about that. So we solved it, and then part C, they want you to graph it. So here's 0. Here's 4.8. Open circle, n is less than, so we are going this direction and checking your work. We don't have to do that in this homework assignment. Number 5, 2/3 a plus a over 5 greater than or equal to 21. And they want you to multiply this by 15. If you look, where did the 15 come from? The 5 and the 3 together make 15. Up here, 2 and 4, we could have gone by 8, but 2 goes into 4, so we can use 4, and we'll get smaller numbers that way. So let's go ahead and distribute the 15 here. And this is part A. So divide by the bottom. 15 divided by 3 is 5, times 2 is 10a. Again, you can do 2/3 times 15 in your calculator, and you'll get that. 15 divided by 5 is 3, times the top is 3a, greater than or equal to, and I almost wrote the 21. That's the mistake. 21 times 15, 315. Can't forget to multiply everything, not just the fractions. So together, that's 13a. This is now part B. Solving it. Divide by 13. Didn't use any negatives or anything, so this is going to continue to stay open towards the left side here. 315 divided by 13 is not a great decimal here, so we're going to leave it like that. Now you can try and simplify it. If you have a graphing calculator or a scientific calculator, you put the fraction in, 315 over 13, and then you just hit enter and it'll simplify it, but obviously this one does not. It just stays the same. So we're going to leave it as 315 over 13. Graphing the solution. Watch how easy this is. Here's 0. We're going to go up here. I know this is a positive number. If you wanted to actually divide it and you know kind of where it is, 315 divided by 13, it's 24.2. So it's just above 24. So if you were actually making your number line with more numbers than I'm going to, you would put it just above 24. But we're going to call this 315 over 13. Closed circle, because it can equal this, and greater than is going to go this direction. And that's all you need on your graph right there. All right. Over here, it says solve and check. We're not doing the checks. We're just going to solve these. So practicing clearing our fractions out. All right, so now we have to choose the number we're going to multiply by here. So I have 7 and 5. What's the number that they both go into? There's not an easy one besides just multiplying them together and using 35. So we're going to multiply 35 across here. So 35 divided by 7 is 5 times the top gives me 15x. 35 times 2 is 70. And 35 divided by 5 is 7 times 2 is 14. So you see, when you get good at this, you don't even need the calculator for that part. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and solve this. So minus 70. So 14 minus 70 is negative 56 divided by 15. Not going to be a great number there. Okay, repeated decimal, so we're going to leave it like that. Let's go ahead and see if this simplifies. 56 over 15. Nope, it's going to stay. And so your final answer here, put it right underneath, x equals negative 56 over 15. Again, they said check, but we're not checking it. That would not be a lot of fun to check anyway. Okay, number 7, 3/4 y minus 1/3 equals 5. So I got 4 and 3. The number that 4 and 3 both go into evenly is 12. With 4, it'd be 4 or 8 or 12, and 3 is only going into 12. So multiplying by 12, we're actually dividing by the bottom, then multiplying times the top. So 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. And I can't stress enough, if you're not following how to do that, then just actually plug it in and multiply 12 times 3/4, and you get the 9. But if you can start doing this in your head, it goes a lot faster. 12 divided by 3, that's 4 times 1 is just 4. And then you can't forget this one, 12 times 5 is 60. Everybody forgets to multiply this number by that. They just look at the fractions. Everything's got to get it. All right, at this point, easy way to solve 9y equals 64 and divide by 9. Not going to give you a nice number. Nasty decimal. Can't simplify that anymore. So final answer here is 64 over 9. All right, after 6 and 7, we jumped to 10 through 13. More of the same. You can see once you get good at these, they actually go kind of fast. All right, now we got 3 numbers to deal with, 3, a 5, and a 4. So if it was just 3 and 5, that'd be 15, but 4 doesn't go into 15. If it was just 5 and 4, it'd be 20. Okay, but 20 doesn't work with 3. So you could sit there and just keep trying stuff until it works. The other thing you can do, which will work every time, is just multiply them all together. So 3 times 5 times 4. 3 times 4. And it's 60. And now sometimes there's a better number than that. Sometimes there isn't. And it's going to work every single time. So you can just multiply all these together, get that number, and then just go ahead and use it. So 60 divided by 3, that's 20 times the top is 20d. 60 divided by 5, that's 12. So 60 divided by 5 is 12. Be careful, you don't put the 12 down. We still have this 3 up top. So once you divide and get 12, you times it by the top. So 12 times the 3 is 36d. Less than. All right, and then 60 divided by 4, it's going to be 15. You don't write down the 15, you multiply it times the top. 15 times 3 is 45. All right, so a little bit extra kind of going on here, but let's go ahead and finish this off. We're going to put this together. It's going to be 56d is less than 45, and then we're going to divide by 56. Not going to give you anything pretty here, so we're just going to leave this as 45 over 56. $11. Okay, my two denominators are 10 and 5. You could multiply them together and get 50, but 5 goes into 10. So the number they both go into is 10. They both go into 50, but they also both go into 10, and it's going to keep my numbers small. So 10 times 1 is 10. Don't forget to multiply by the 1. The 10 and the 10 cancel, leaving you n. 10 divided by 5 is 2 times the top is negative 8. Okay, solve it out. Minus 10. This comes down. All I've eliminated is the positive 10. So I still have a negative n. And I'm going to get negative 18. I have to get rid of this negative, so I'm dividing by a negative 1. And think about what happens when you divide by a negative. You have to flip this. So I have n on this side. This flips and says less than, and the negatives become a positive 18. N is less than or equal to 18. Okay, number 12. Only the denominator here is a 3, so we're multiplying by 3 to get rid of it. Everything. So 15. This cancels, leaving you t, and this gets you negative 21. So solving it out, get the 15 out of here by minusing it. It's a positive 15. Leaves you negative t. This is negative 36. Divide by negative 1. And this is an equation, it's not an inequality, so I don't have to worry about flipping anything. T just equals 36. All right, and last one. So kind of giving you a crazy one here. I'm going to look at that 22 and I'm going to try a couple of things first before I just multiply them all together, because I can see that's going to be a really big number. So I know 22 times 2 is 44. That's not going to get these numbers. Times 3 is 66. Not going to get these numbers. All right, it's probably not going to be something easy to find. So let's just go ahead and deal with the big numbers and multiply. So 5 times 13 times 22. Multiply the denominators together. So my magic number is 1430. It almost sounds like, man, that's going to make this even harder than it was before. Isn't the point to make it easy? So let's see. Remember, you're just dividing by the bottom, and then whatever's left timesing by the top. So 1430 divided by the 5 is 286. The m is still there on top, so it's 286m. Positive times a negative, this will be a negative. 1430 divided by 13 is 110. Times the 1 on top, it stays 110. Notice, these will all divide nicely because we multiplied them together to make this. That means all of them fit into this evenly. So we're going to get a nice number every time we divide. Last one, 1430 divided by 22 is 65. Now don't write down 65 because you have a 3 on top. So we divided to get 65. You have to times it by that 3, and that's 195. All right, so those were some big numbers, but look at this equation now. This is not scary anymore, where this looks just impossible, right? So we're going to go ahead and solve this. So 286m, 195 plus 110 is 305, and you divide by the 286. Clearly that is not going to be a nice number. So we're just going to go ahead and leave that a fraction. M is greater than or equal to 305 over 286.